March 2 of the pod presented by Eternal Roofing. Roofing you can trust, just like you can trust my appliances now. This is season 3, episode 22 of March to the pod. Portal updates this week. We got men's basketball predictions, previews, and we got some information on the Cat Fund that Ben will bring us here shortly. I'm Cory Hogue, your host, producer, once banned catfans.com member. Find me on social media at Cory Hogue Sports. It's all one word. That's CORYHOGUE Sports. And as always, I'm joined by the real ball knower, the man who works throughout the podcast. You can hear it going. He's SHSU on Twitter and Instagram, COO of Cat Fun and a proud Bearkat himself, Ben Sorrells. And so, Ben, we missed last week. I'll get a brief rundown as to what happened here. Friday, I decided to finally put the work order in at the apartment for the for new dish racks because the other ones were so old they were rusted, falling off. And I was really proud of myself because I did this after about 6 months of my wife bitching at me about not doing it yet. And
only 6 months.
Only 6. Dude, that's good, right? And then about an hour later, she goes to open the microwave door, and the microwave door falls off in her hand.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, I blame her because she made me order that, right? But anyway, we got the new microwave quickly. The dishwasher kept getting delayed, and so yes, I have new appliances. Yes, I have a dishwasher, and no, Benjamin, it's not a new wife. Okay,
not yet.
Wait till she hears this episode, right? Hey, have you heard about Winter Storm Fern?
I have.
First off, why in the world are we naming it Fern? Like, we don't already like the winter? Then you give it a name that we just know we ain't gonna like?
It's already bad enough, I know.
Dude, like it's good. They're talking possibly below zero here in Wichita Falls. Ice, maybe snow up to 6 inches, maybe not, maybe ice up to 12 inches. Who knows? All I know is this is our normal weekend to go grocery shopping.
Better get it done now.
So we're doing that tonight.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, you're going to see this guy hunkered down in his apartment and try his best not to go outside for any damn reason until it warms back up above 32.
Yeah, it's going to have some possible implications on some Sam Houston games this weekend too. No
doubt about it. Those home games that the men have coming up, that's definitely Saturday's game, I would say, is still up in kind of a question mark at the moment.
Yeah, I talked to someone with the school today. They haven't heard anything from WKU about trying to push it to Friday. Kennesaw State and Louisiana Tech pushed their game to Friday. But the women's side is the one that's very interesting because you play in Miami on Thursday, and then you got to fly to Springfield, Missouri, and play Missouri State on Saturday. And do you try to move it up to Friday? I don't know if you can even get in time because I don't know if you're going to be able to get out of Springfield, Missouri on Saturday night or Sunday morning.
Will you be able to get into it Friday? The timing of this storm coming through. So I don't know, man. I imagine where you are, you guys are going to get hit with more of snow than anybody.
Yeah, a lot of snow. A lot of snow.
There will be a lot of snow. Look, I've been in -12 before. It was in South Korea. I absolutely hate life at any temperature below like 25. If the wind chill's below 25, I hate life even worse. So I'm going to do my best to avoid all this.
Yeah, and stay inside.
Yeah, dude, I am not a cold weather person.
Me neither.
But you know who got hot last week? The women's bowling team. In case you didn't see it on our recap on marchtothepod.substack.com, Sam Houston's women's bowling team kicked off their spring slate Northeast Classic in Delaware. They entered as the number 14th ranked team in a loaded field. They landed inside the top 10, 7th overall, behind the champion. Are we surprised? It's Jack State.
They're a unit.
They're a unit. Runner-up Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So Sam Houston had a head-to-head win over Youngstown State in the 7th, 8th place match. That is a heck of a good showing for the bowling team.
Yeah, I mean, that's practically an NCAA tournament kind of field that they had there. I know they beat Nebraska too, I'm pretty sure. And Nebraska's very good.
It's an Elite 8 type field.
Yeah.
It really is. It's top 8 or 10 of the best in the country. The women tennis opened up their season at number 2, Texas A&M. That went about like you would expect. But it's a young roster on the tennis team, and matches like this, I can't say they just make you better. Like, I had a daughter that played tennis, and she went against a girl that was so many levels better than her when she was in junior high at this time. That girl was so many levels better than her. It almost made her hate tennis.
Yeah.
We found a way to use it as a motivation to get better. But you got to be careful when you're playing teams like number 2 team in the country.
Yeah, and it's a tennis program that struggled for probably the last half decade. They had a lot of success kind of around 19, 20, 21, and it's been an uphill battle since then. So we'll see what they do. They've got a lot better facilities now. Second full year with the new tennis complex, so hopefully you start to see some results move in the right direction.
Do you know who's better at roofing than the Dodgers are at baseball?
Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing. Let's hear a little bit about them.
Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
Hey, if you're listening and you haven't yet subscribed to our Substack, you need to. March to the pod, march the number 2 the pod.substack.com. The updates to the transfer portal, Benjamin is an A++ on keeping those up. Definitely better than the producer of this podcast. You remember what happened last time we were on? My camera went out.
Yeah,
right?
that was a rough one.
Oh, that was a rough one. I have a new camera now. And actually, this one just came in today. I didn't like the first one I ordered.
Send it back.
That's right. Send it back. Get one you like. And so that finally came. What happened that day? So, man, it was crazy that episode.
But we made it.
As I said it, look what happened.
You're glitched.
Spinning. Yeah.
There we go. Now you're back.
I'm going to shut up. If you're enjoying it. All right. Ben, there has been a lot happening in the transfer portal and with the roster since we last discussed. Catch us up.
Oh, man. I mean, where do you even start? There's just, every day there's a handful of movements between, guys entering the portal up until a few days ago, people signing, committing. So I don't even know where to start. What are you thinking on how we go about this?
Well, first off, let's take a question from General Sam listening or watching on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching the General. You see Humphrey signed at WKU.
Yeah, he joins Josiah Rockwell there, who was also at Sam Houston for his first 2 or 3 years. So, and Rhett Larson. So it's kind of the Sam Houston of 2024 over there on the offensive side. It's interesting. And speaking of Rhett Larson, I ran into him at the airport a couple of weeks ago while he was visiting another school that I won't say, but that was interesting running into him at the airport. So that was funny. But I guess we could start on the offensive line. Speaking of Rhett Larson, you lost 8 players in the portal or graduation, and all 8 of them were the 8 guys that played for you last year. They've finally started to piece together what this next year will look like for the Sam Houston offensive line. A couple of the pickups, Western Carolina offensive lineman Elijah Collins, primarily played right guard, started for them this last year. Pretty big pickup there from Western Carolina. That was last week. Nathan McClelland, a guy from College of Idaho, an NAIA school, was an NAIA honorable mention All-American. So that's one. NC State offensive lineman Brock Stukes, one of the 4 NC State players that have come over to Sam Houston to this point. You also had Colin, junior college offensive lineman Joseph Warren, come over. That was an early one. He was a JUCO guy that signed during the first JUCO period. Rutgers O-lineman Carter Cato, a guy with a couple of years of eligibility, didn't play a ton at Rutgers. So that's
not a good sign, Ben.
Well, he was a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, but if you're not playing at Rutgers, sorry,
he's got the size. I think he's like 6'7", 310. That's the big thing I've looked for is, I think a lot of these guys.
You're forgetting that my wife is a massive Rutgers fan.
No,
and that now that's 2 strikes on this one episode, and we're only 12 minutes in.
Yeah. But most of these guys have the size that you're looking for. You know, like Brock Stukes at NC State didn't play a lot. Carter Cato at Rutgers didn't play a lot. But Nathan McClellan, Elijah Collins, Joseph Warren played a lot at their previous stops. So that's a good sign. Those are 5 guys. You also have Huntsville offensive lineman, Huntsville High School offensive lineman, Trey Williams, who signed also. So you've brought in 6, you lost 8. You would think that you need at least 2 more guys to bring in, especially considering all 8 were pretty much the 8 rotation guys. So a pretty big concern for me to this point, especially considering some of these guys didn't play at the previous level or bumping up a level. Don't really have a lot of guys that played that are coming back. And it's an offensive line that was middle of the pack to begin with. So it's a pretty big concern for an offense that I think put up 17 points a game. You have an offensive line that's super unproven. You still have a couple spots to fill. So we'll see what it looks like. But that's kind of the offensive line update among many others, and probably the biggest position of concern for me at this point still.
Those 17 points per game is like 1%, 1 for every percentage point of what they converted on third downs.
Pretty much, but
yeah. Here's the thing. In last year, and I understood the argument that last year you can't put completely onto Longo, and I think that was reflected in our end of season grades as well, because there was a late coaching change. By the time he got in, the portal had already been pretty much ravaged, and then there's a second portal, all that craziness going on. But I think this year, if and this is the dangers of it, right? If you're going to rebuild on the portal every single year, it's hard to hit at the G5 level. It's much easier at an Indiana. It's a lot harder at the G5 level. It's a big risk. And now there is no more leniency as in whose roster this is. It's very clearly Coach Locke's.
Coach Locke or Coach Longo?
Longo.
It's Landon Locke's offense.
Out today, right?
It's Landon Locke's offense, and that's a good segue to that.
Offense, yes.
It's a good segue to the quarterback room in this portal talk. Outside of the O-line, the quarterback room is probably the biggest area of concern for me. You've got 2 scholarship QBs on the roster right now, and one of them is DJ Bailey, who personally I don't think should be anything more than probably your 3rd quarterback on the roster. And
you still have all the support from the fans who maybe don't know. Like, listen, and I get it, right? Like, they see DJ Bailey in high school, and he was a superstar. What they haven't seen is the DJ Bailey that showed up in Sam Houston. And in a lot of ways, it's hard to really talk about why he's not developing into the guy we thought he would.
Yeah, I just ultimately think he didn't really have it to kind of play at this level. I think he could play at the FCS D2 level, and he just hasn't gotten the reps, and so I wouldn't really rely on him to be your backup. But you go in with Landon Locke as your number one, and he flashed last year, but he's still going to be only a sophomore next year. Started 4 or 5 games. I mean, I know you think he's your guy, but he didn't exactly prove it. I mean, he showed the upside, but you can't bank on just him. I mean, I am shocked that they haven't gone out and gotten another quarterback at this point. And I mean, there's still guys in the portal. There's still JUCO guys that are uncommitted that might join during the summer, or maybe you squeeze them in this week at some point. But you're playing with fire, I think, only having Landon Locke and DJ Bailey as your 2 scholarship quarterbacks. And you just need more from a body's perspective. I mean, I know you've got Noah Norman as your 3rd string walk-on kind of guy, but you need at least probably 4 quarterbacks on the roster, no matter who the team is.
Oh, at minimum 4 on the roster, and they're allowed up to 105? Is it now? Is that
105.
Yeah, no, you need at least 4, if not 5, on your roster. And yeah, look, Landon Locke had, like you mentioned it perfectly. You said he had the flashes, right? Flashes of brilliance. But after the flashes of brilliance, you see a lot of areas that need a lot of work. Accuracy, footwork, shoulders. There's a lot of things in there that need a lot of work from him. And it would be nice to have a veteran guy coming up. So that leads me curious why I didn't see them maybe. And granted, look, I'm still on Twitter jail, so I haven't necessarily been like following very closely. But guys like Braden Fuller, who was at Angelo State and started for 3 years and hit the portal before his senior year, those are guys you go after.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he's an FBS level guy, because I've had my questions on that myself, but I think he ended up like Power 4 or something. And he's not that level. He should have been. Sam Houston should have been all over that guy.
Yeah, you just need to go find an FCS Division II, maybe even Division III guy with a lot of experience, with success at whatever level they played, that can come in and be the backup. And I know that's probably not an easy sell, but I mean, at this point, DJ Bailey as your backup, I think, is a pretty big concern going into next year.
Is it as so you say? It's a tough sell. I would agree if there was not NIL money. Money can sell me on some things.
Yeah, it can, but with the budget they have, not what I know they've allocated towards Landon Locke, it's going to be difficult to sway someone in to be the backup with that amount of money. So I don't know. There's still time. I think you can get through spring ball with the 3 that you have right now. But there's going to be a lot of work that's got to be done, in my opinion, to try to get another quarterback in the room.
How's the rest of the offense look?
Yeah, it's interesting. Tight end position, you lost 3 players to graduation in the portal. You've started to see that room start to come together. FAU tight end Brock Cool signed and committed a little over a week ago. You got Akron tight end Max Wisner, who came in. So you've got 2. Neither of them really played a lot at their previous stop. Cool's a guy, I think he only spent a year at FAU, super young, so that's not a big concern. Akron tight end Max Wisner has been to a few different schools at this point. Hasn't played a lot, but he's got good size. I think he could be a good blocking tight end. They had Max Smith, the Rhode Island tight end, on campus for a visit yesterday. Haven't seen anything with that yet, but you think you would need at least one more tight end for that room. Running back, it kind of feels like Coco Bell's going to be your bell cow guy next year, which I don't have any problem with. Jerry and Parker probably going to be your number 2. Haven't signed or had any transfer portal guys commit, but you do have 2, I think, pretty good high school running backs coming in that I think either of one of them could be your number 3, Caden Weekfield from Aledo, and then Demetrius Dowdy from Wisner, Georgia. I think either of those guys could be your number 3, so I think you're okay. The wide receiver spot's still a concern for me, maybe not as big as the O-line and the quarterback position, but you picked up a few nice pieces. Austin P wide receiver Kamari Maxwell had a really big year as a true freshman at Austin P. I think he had 5 touchdowns and 400 yards as a true freshman there. So that was a good one. You also picked up Wisconsin wide receiver Kean Barry Johnson, was a guy there with Longo, 2 years ago, recruited by him. So he comes in, but you lost Fatu Makuba and Lottie Adkisson, two guys I was really high on going forward, which is a loss. And you also lost Quavis Humphreys and Michael Phoenix to the portal. So I don't know if you've done enough to replenish that room. Another one is Elijah Kaysen from Holy Cross, but I think he might be more of a return specialist guy. So the wide receiver room was a big concern last year outside of Chris Reed and Grady O'Neill. And I don't know if you've done enough to replenish it with guys that could step in and contribute right away. I think you might have one in Kamari Maxwell from Austin P, but I still have some concerns about the depth of the room and just guys you can get targets to outside of Chris Reed and Grady O'Neill.
We're going to go back to the quarterback room for just a second because we've got some people watching on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you very much for, if you're tuning in Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or listening to us on your favorite podcast, we really appreciate it. Talking about trying to get a backup, Nicholas Steele 619 on YouTube said, hard sell, try impossible, especially if you're not guaranteeing starting or playing time.
Yeah, I don't know if it's impossible. It's definitely very difficult, but a guy like Hunter Watson came in and was sold on a backup job, and he just went out and took it. And I think if you're a guy coming in, guaranteed a backup job, and you see Landon Locke as your starter, nothing against Landon, but if you really perform well, I think there's a shot that maybe you could come in and even win the job, possibly.
Shouldn't the coach? That's where the coaching staff has got to be honest. Like, and I'm a big fan. I am a believer that every starting spot is open every single year.
Right.
Now you got guys you could pencil in here, but I'm telling you, if you get outperformed in camp, you're not my starting player.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, and that could be a sell. A guy that wants to compete, knows he can at least be the backup, and he's got at least a shot to be the starter at an FBS school.
Then you got to have. It's like we're playing Madden with college football now, and so you need a GM that's good at managing money and the contracts that you have to make sure that for your quarterback room, you're not spending too much of an extra where you can't afford to get that guy that would come in and compete.
Yeah, and it's a double-edged sword because you also want to retain a guy like Landon Locke who has a lot of eligibility and a lot of upside. So it's a tough situation, and I know we'll probably hit on the defense a little bit too here in a minute, but I feel so much better about the defense than I do the offense right now. I feel like the offense talent-wise is a step behind where it was last year, and they scored 17 points a game last year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I am very concerned about the offense. Chris Gilstrap watching on Facebook said, what's the problem with DJ Bailey? Thought he was the man coming out of high school. Is it all talk? I want to handle this carefully because the last thing that I am ever going to do is disparage someone who is a college athlete because you're doing way more than I could ever do. But there is a level of you have to, and it's hard to word this in a way that doesn't sound wrong, right? Like, it's not that DJ Bailey doesn't love the game of football. Of course he does. It's not that he doesn't work. Of course he does. But there are some factors and some things that you can see when they get to college that makes you better, right? There's an amount of work that's got to be put in on top of all the other work, on top of everything else. You have to live and breathe it. And I'm not saying he doesn't. Now, I'm not, and by the way, the hype out of high school, the dude could play. We saw that, right? The talk was real. The problem is sometimes you get content where you're at. You don't think you need to improve. What's holding him back? Him. That's what I'm going to tell you, Chris. What's holding DJ Bailey back, in my opinion, is DJ Bailey. If DJ Bailey, we know he's got the talent and the ability. If he decides he wants to be the starting quarterback at Sam Houston, nothing would stop him.
And I think the other side of it too, not even the stuff you mentioned, is I think part of what he did in high school was a little overinflated. All 5 pretty much all 5 offensive linemen going FBS, had 2 5-star receivers around him. I think you kind of just had to sit back there and just kind of throw it. Then that was about it. Didn't really have to move or anything. It's a very different game in college, especially with his size. And that's why I say I think he could be a good quarterback at the FCS Division II level. I think the size is a little bit of a question. And then when you combine everything together, I just don't know if he's the guy or even the backup. I'd be fine with him as a 3.
That's a great point, too, because at DeSoto, he really didn't have to read many defensive blitz packages. Like you said, he was pretty comfortable back there. You didn't have to worry about...
Just kind of stand back there and throw it to the open receiver and make him look good, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have to worry about getting Mendoza a few times, right? Like,
no.
If you're enjoying the show, help us grow by rating and reviewing March to the Pod on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to subscribe to our Substack page. My brain has not worked well today at all. March to the Pod, March the number 2, the pod.substack.com. That's also how you're going to find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. March to the Pod. Don't forget to check out the Conference USA Podcast Roundtable, with shows covering all 12 Conference USA programs. And the only thing more valuable than Indiana right now is a good, solid roof. How about finding out one from Eternal Roofing?
Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Thank you very much to our friends over at Eternal Roofing. Now we're going to dive into some women's basketball, get an update here. We're going to start with the standings. And here you can see where your Bearcats stand. They currently are second, 1/2 game in the win column, outside of holding first place. That is tied with La Tech and 1/2 game behind Middle Tennessee State. On the road, this team is 3-0 on the road. Last week, they had a heck of a game against Western Kentucky, 50-38. That team couldn't figure out the pressure to save their life. They looked so frustrated by the end of that game.
Yeah, that's what the Sam Houston defense does.
Yeah, it is exactly what they do. And then Saturday, I missed this one, but they saw a 6-game winning streak come to a close with a 68-67 loss to that Middle Tennessee State team.
Yeah, it was a great win against Western Kentucky. You handled business at home against an inferior opponent, which is good to see. That's what this team is kind of becoming accustomed to. And then Middle Tennessee, I think it's been 18 straight years that they've been to the NCAA tournament. They are still the class of the league. They had lost at Louisiana Tech a couple nights before. Weren't happy about it, and it was a loss for Sam Houston, but I think there were some encouraging signs. It was probably, in my opinion, the best offensive performance of the year. But Middle Tennessee decided to shoot 50% from 3, and it's tough to beat teams when they do that. And you had a chance to win it at the buzzer. You had the ball with 5 seconds left, down by 1, and just couldn't convert. So you're not going to go through conference play undefeated, but I think you've shown that you can play with anyone in this league. You beat Louisiana Tech on the road, had a chance to beat Middle Tennessee at home. They shot the lights out, and it's another really big week coming up. You go to FIU tomorrow, and then assuming things hold up right now, you'll play Missouri State on Saturday, but it doesn't get any easier, and it's going to be another really big week ahead of them.
It's a huge week ahead of them, especially that Missouri State game, if that one gets played on Saturday. FIU is 3-2. Missouri State's 4-1. They're 2-0 at home, 2-1 on the road. FIU is 1-2 at home, but 2-0 on the road, which I find interesting as well. You talk about FIU 6:00 Thursday night, ESPN Plus. The Panthers come in having defeated New Mexico State 83-74 and then beat UTEP 67-59. Both games were on the road. They're on a 3-game winning streak. The Bears, their loss, though, was at New Mexico State. Here's my question to you right now. If you look at the top of the standings, Middle Tennessee, Sam Houston, La Tech, Missouri State, we'll take those 4. I don't think anyone who has watched much of this conference would say that Sam Houston is not have a good possibility of winning this conference.
I agree, and it's very likely a one-bid league, and the Sam Houston basketball team on the women's side is probably the best conditioned team of maybe any school in the country. So if it gets down to a conference championship game, I feel pretty good about our chances, and I think there's really not a ton of separation between those top 4. I mean, Sam Houston lost to Middle Tennessee, beat Louisiana Tech. Middle Tennessee lost to Louisiana Tech. So a lot of these teams beating up on each other at the top, and I think it's probably going to be one of those 4 teams when it all comes down to it. But somebody's still going to knock off Middle Tennessee. 18 straight years in the tournament is impressive.
Well, and I will tell you, that pressure is hard to face when you're feeling good. When you're playing 3 or 4 straight games in that many days or over the course of a week, you're not enjoying that pressure near as much at that point of a conference tournament. Turning our focus to FIU, let's look at some national stats. The effective field goal percentage is brought to us by WarrenNolan.com because the NCAA does not give effective field goal percentage for women's basketball. That does upset me. FIU is 159th. Sam Houston's 351st. It's not last, but it's pretty close. Scoring offense, 45th for the Panthers, 192nd for the Cats. Scoring defense, Panthers struggle, 280th. They can't stop people. The Cats, you can't score on them. They're 19th. So when I look at this, the first thing I notice is strength on strength here, Ben. You've got scoring defense, scoring offense, and I think that's – even when we look at the conference stats, I'm pretty sure you're going to see they're like 1-2 on those areas.
Yeah, it's strength on strength. And I don't know. I think I'd rather have the defensive side of it. Defense travels no matter where you go.
Defense does. See, that's the one thing. I know that if I know the defense wins championships, but it is true. It does.
Yeah.
Rebounds win, too. That's what you want to win basketball games, rebounding. Their rebounding margin, FIU is pretty good at it, 167th in the country. Sam Houston's 235th. Assist to turnover ratio, that's another big one to look at. Florida's not good, 316th. Sam Houston 205th in turnover margin. They're both actually solid. And see, this is the thing, like the pressure is one thing, but the Cats thrive on turning teams over. They're 13th in the country in turnover margin. FIU's 34th. They take care of the ball well. How well? It just seems to me like that's going to be the one key factor tomorrow night.
Yeah, because FIU's probably winning a lot of their games not turning it over, and Sam Houston wins games because they turn people over, and that's going to be a big factor.
No doubt about it. As we look at the Conference USA side, again, no effective field goal percentage because the NCAA does not keep that stat. Scoring offense, Florida's first. FIU's first. Cats first in scoring defense. Shocking.
Yeah, and the offense for Sam Houston came alive the other night. Now you're playing the bottom scoring defense in the league. I'm interested to see how they can keep it going.
Turnover margin, top 2 teams again. It really is like good on good, and I think we're going to see that again on the men's side too. It's just so difficult. So let's go through one other stat comparison here in Conference USA, though. I'm a big believer in rebounding is essential to winning the games, but offensive rebounding is probably even more important, in my opinion, because those are extra possessions.
Yeah.
FIU, 14.9. They're third in the conference, 35th nationally. Sam Houston gets 15.9, one whole offensive rebound more per game, second in Conference USA and 17th nationally. Everything about this game, Benjamin, says that it is going to be tight.
Oh, yeah. And even the wins that Sam Houston has had have been very close. At Liberty, at Louisiana Tech, you didn't really pull away from WKU. Delaware was a double overtime win. I mean, they're going to be close, and that's what conference games typically are in Conference USA.
Those are fun. Those are fun games. Before we get to predicting tomorrow night's game, let's look at what happened last time we predicted a game when they were going to Liberty. The line via ChatGPT, because Vegas doesn't like to give lines on all the women's games. Liberty minus 11 with 131 total. Ben said, well, ChatGPT said Liberty was winning 71-60. Ben said 68-59 Liberty. He had Sam covering in the under. I said Liberty 61-57. I had them covering in the under. I thought it'd be a lot closer than that. Sam Houston won that sucker 59-53. And the one thing we knew was going to happen, it went under.
Yeah, that one was pretty easy.
Yeah, that was. But boy, that win at Liberty. And the other thing too is there were a couple things about that win that I think will help propel this team for the rest of the season. And I think it really solidified a lot of the things that Coach Justice talks about, because she wasn't there. She was not able to attend that game. But they still went out and took it to, at their place, one of the best teams in the conference and defeated them without their head coach there. That was impressive.
Yeah, and it shows the culture that's been established, and that they're
the
gonna
leadership they have too.
And they're gonna play hard no matter what, play to their style. And I thought Brittany Mason did a good job too. Her first game stepping up as the head coach, former player at Sam Houston, has been on staff for a few years. I thought she did a great job for that game because it was close down the stretch, and they found a way to pull it out.
They're a cockroach.
Just annoying.
That's what my daughter used to call the tennis players that could hit everything back at you. Right? Like you would hit your best shot down the line, they'd get over to it and get it back somehow. She'd call them a cockroach.
Yeah.
So hard to kill a cockroach.
Yeah. Even the Middle Tennessee game, you were down 8 with, I think, a minute and a half left, and you had a chance to win it with 5 seconds to go, and you had the ball. So, they are not going to go away.
They don't go easy. I love it. I love teams like that, right? They may not win every game, but I know that every game they play, they're giving everything they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so Ben and I are 1-0 against the spread and total on the women's season. Next game coming up is FIU, Thursday, 6 p.m., ESPN Plus. The lines, again, via ChatGPT, has FIU -3, total of 139.5. That ChatGPT projects Florida International 71, Sam Houston 68. All right. What say you, Ben?
Yeah, I feel like the under, I feel very good about with that total. And I think Sam Houston wins it. Something about them on the road. I think they just got a little bit of edge to them. I'm going to go Sam Houston 61, FIU 59.
See, you always try to make me look like the bad guy,
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, you always try to make me look like the bad guy, like I'm always picking against Sam Houston. Well, guess what? I'm not. I've got Sam Houston winning this game. I think it's close, 63-60. I think it's a far fewer points than the 139.5.
Yeah, and if it gets around that total, I don't think Sam Houston wins the game, most likely.
Not at all. If this game gets into the 70s, Sam Houston is toast.
Yeah, and even when they played well offensively against Middle Tennessee and got up to, I think it was 67 or 68, they weren't able to win. It's got to be a 55-65, probably somewhere in there.
Yes, as I say, if the score hits 70, first off, it probably isn't going to be the Cats. And second off, they're not going to win the game.
Yeah.
My view.
I agree.
We'll see what happens at ESPN Plus tomorrow night at 6:30. You know who does well, whether you're talking offense, defense, shingles, or general contracting?
Eternal Roofing.
Darn right.
Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
Going to get to the basketball review of the last week or so and some predictions. But first, Ben Sorrells has some updates to give us on the Cat Fund. It's all yours, man.
Yeah, cat-fund.com. You can figure out more or find more information on the Cat Fund. Got a few things going on. I'm sure a lot of people saw the competitive excellence funds go out last week. That was something that I teased a while back. It got released a little later than I thought, but we'll change a little bit about how we do things. We'll have some information coming out here soon to all of our members and supporters, but we do also have our Sam Houston Golf Champions Dinner next Friday night. Information for that on the golf team social medias, our social medias. If you need the link, just let me know. But yeah, we got that coming up, and we'll have some more info on our end coming out here soon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how you guys deal with that, since they do have that competitive fund or whatever.
It's a fancy way to say rev share.
It is. Whatever they want to call it, I don't know. I don't give a darn. You know what I do care about, though, is that men's basketball team. And right now, Cats are looking better. They're 3-4. They're right in the middle of the pack. Look, Liberty 7-0, Middle Tennessee's 5-2, and then you have about 7 teams, at least 6 teams that are 4-3 or 3-4. And then FIU, UTEP 2-5, Delaware 1-6. Much like the women's side, Ben, every night is a street fight in Conference USA.
It is, yeah, and the key really is to try to get a top 5 seed so you can get that first round bye, because 6 plays 10, 7, or maybe it's a top 6. So 7 plays 10, 8 plays 9, and then they get into quarterfinal play. And they're working their way up. And honestly, I mean, 3-4 isn't what you wanted after you saw the start to the season they had, but Sam Houston has had by far the most difficult schedule in Conference USA to this point. 5 of your first 7 on the road. You played Liberty, you played at MTSU, you played at WKU, you played at Jack State already, you played at New Mexico State. It has been a gauntlet. And so to be 3-4 at this point, there's 13 games left, and I think you have like 8 of them at home, I think it is, or maybe even more than that. You're in a pretty good spot, and you've got a chance to make a little run here. 4 your next 5 are at home. So you protect home court, you've got a real shot to possibly even creep up as far as the 2nd seed. I don't know if anybody's going to catch Liberty, but anything 2nd seed and below is really still in play.
I think Conference USA, just like on the men's side, just like the women's, is a 1-bid league. Liberty looks like they're going to be your favorite going into the conference tournament, no doubt. But Sam Houston, that win last week at Jack State, not just wins that they had last week, but how they won, 77-62, 76-63. Those are road games.
Yeah.
And if you can win like that on the road, boy, it sure will fare well when you get at home. And by the way, at home they're 1-1, and that loss is Liberty.
And you were within about 6 to 8 points up until, 3-ish minutes left. You were pretty much in it the entire time. And you got Kennesaw State tonight, and this feature is not sponsored by a betting platform, unfortunately, but Kennesaw State's team might be.
They're 4-3, 1-3 on the road. And what Ben is referencing is what came down last week. It really shook a lot of the different people who follow college at the levels that we follow. It sent shockwaves through our levels, right? Like this was huge news. The convictions coming out, which we knew they were coming, but to see players, to see the Conference USA preseason player of the year, right?
Reigning player of the week.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, well, and for those that don't know, Simeon Cottle, who was Kennesaw State's leading scorer, Conference USA's leading scorer, at 21 points per game, was one of the players indicted last week, and he's been removed from the team. So there is a lot of stuff going on there at Kennesaw State.
It was a point shaving scandal, and some of these dudes were cutting videos of guys in on this and watching them play some of the worst fake defense. Like, how a coach watched that video and didn't throw them off the team, I don't understand, to be honest with you.
Yeah, some of it, I mean, when you look back at it, it's just very, and the shots they were taking too, just very obvious. But it's something to watch coming into tonight. I know FIU kind of rebounded against, Kennesaw State rebounded against WKU. Yeah, and they picked up a nice win after everything came out. But I mean, it is so hard to replace someone that scores 21 points per game on your team.
Yeah, they won both games last week. They beat FIU 89-86, and then after that came out, they destroyed Western Kentucky 81-65, but that's the first game after that, right? That's the one where, oh yeah, we'll show you. Now, that attitude might not still be there.
Well, and teams don't really know how you're going to adjust offensively and defensively, too, without them. And now you kind of have a little bit of film. You know how they're going to operate. I think they probably start to come back down to earth, but we'll see. We'll see.
We definitely will. You want to know another little stat?
What's that?
They're on a 4-game win streak. That is tied for their longest streak of the season. They haven't won 5 yet. Put value in streaks.
Yeah, well, the Cats have won 3 or 4. So
exactly.
Both teams are playing well.
It's going to be so much fun. That game is going to be so fun tonight. 6:30 p.m. And then Saturday, the men are at home against Western Kentucky at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. The Hilltoppers beat Missouri State 87-73, then took that 16-point loss to Kennesaw. And let's look real quickly here at the national stat comparison for the men and the Conference USA, and you will see that it is exactly what we think it's going to be tonight. It's two very similar teams. Ben, they're both about the same in effective field goal percentage, about mid-country, a little bit better. Well above average scoring offense, average to below average scoring defense for both teams. Rebounding margins, they are incredible. Assist turnover ratio, they're about average. And turnover margin, they're about maybe slightly below average. But they are all very similar to each other.
Yeah. And I think the biggest stat that stands out there is the rebounding. And because Sam Houston through 7 conference games is 7-0 when it comes to out rebounding their opponents. And so 2 top 20 rebounding teams in the country. It'll be interesting to see how the rebounding battle shakes out. I think it could be a determining factor in this game. And speaking of rebounding, and you think big men with rebounding, Isaiah Manning for Sam Houston out for the year due to an injury. He missed both games last week, but you found a way to win both. And guys like Jackson Ford and CJ Beaumont really stepped up in his absence, and they'll need to continue to play big minutes. So that's another thing to watch moving forward, is how Sam Houston continues to reshuffle their front court with Shek Njai and Isaiah Manning both out for the year.
Completely changes how you have to do things.
Yeah.
Completely does. Conference USA, we're going to look at the stats comparison there. Again, they're at the top in scoring offense. They're towards the bottom scoring defense, at the top of rebounding margin. As you talk about the rebounds, last segment, I talked about how important offensive rebounds were and how the Cats had a 1 rebound edge on tomorrow night's opponent. And so now I want to look at that again, but from a Kennesaw side. Sam Houston gets 14.78 offensive rebounds per game. That is really good. In fact, that's 23rd in the nation and 2nd in the conference. Yeah, they're behind Kennesaw, though, and Kennesaw's rebounding 15.83 offensive boards, 2nd in the country, 1st in Conference USA. When you start talking about so many injuries at the front court, you're starting to talk about rebounding depth. That is a concern to me. How big a concern is it to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to watch. The other team in the conference, New Mexico State, that's really good at rebounding, you kind of took it to them. And I think if the big men can just kind of be average, you've got great rebounding guards. And I think that's where Sam Houston really makes its money. I mean, Cashy Nat, Damon Nicholas, Jacoby Coleman, guys like that are extremely good rebounding guards. So if you can just stay afloat in the front court and Vico Elich can stay out of foul trouble, stay healthy, you can get those minutes from Jackson Ford and CJ Beaumont, your guards will out-rebound their guards. And so I think the battle to watch is, can you get enough out of Elich, Beaumont, and Ford throughout the game, and then let your guards do the rest.
Elich is so interesting to watch, man.
I mean, and he's averaging like 14 and 8 in conference play, something like that.
No, he's an enforcer. But if you get that dude can't go beyond the block, or he'll never get back to the rim in time.
And he's got an incredible post game. You don't really see a post game like he has from a college player.
You know, that's the Euro influence.
Yeah,
that really is. They are smooth because they're not always the tallest, right? They got to learn how to move around.
Yeah, and he's 6'9", 6'10", 260, 270. He is a big boy, and he knows how to use his body, knows how to use the pump fake. His footwork is great. Hook shot is incredible. I love watching him when he gets the ball in the post, and he's a great screener, great passer out of the post. He fits exactly what you need, and it's a little bit of a different mold than what Sam Houston has had like the last few years. I mean, you think Suleiman Doumbia, Casey Eziagu, Khalifa Sacco, they were the long, lanky 6'10", 6'11" guys. Elich really isn't that. He's just kind of an enforcer there in the paint with a great post game, does enough defensively, but he gets the job done.
We forget sometimes that Chris Mudge was a post coach, and there is a lot of coaching to that and some Mudge influence as well.
Yeah, done a great job. He
is fantastic at coaching post play, which is not easy to do. So now we look at predictions. Before we get into this game specifically, last time they were hosting Delaware. They were favored to win by 12.5, which, by the way, ended up 11.5 by the time it closed. But when printed, this was 12.5 with a 146.5 total. Vegas said 80-67. Sam Houston. ChatGPT said Sam Houston 76-71. Ben, you said 82-70. You had Delaware covering and over. I said Sam Houston was going to show out, 84-67. I had the Cats covering and over. The final score, Sam Houston won that game by exactly 12 points, but less than you thought, 72-60 on that. So we both took losses on the total. You took a 2-0 record now on the line, and I stand at 1-1. And if the line had been 11.5 when I right, like, geez.
It's all about that one extra number that you can get. It makes a big difference.
It really is. That's why if you're going to do this, and I don't anymore, you got to watch that line nonstop. And as soon as it gets down in the range you feel comfortable, you have to pounce.
Yeah. So
like the other night, I'll give you one the other night. I was looking at Texas and Texas A&M, and I watched Texas. They had just beaten Vanderbilt. They were all high on themselves. Texas A&M, I watched them go to Tennessee. They lost that game, but boy, they fight. And so I was like 3.5 for Texas. I told my wife, I said, no way. I'm going to win that game. A&M by 4.
Yep.
There's sometimes that I know those, but you know what I don't do? Lay any money on it anymore because it will automatically lose.
Yep, that's how it happens. But if you don't bet it, you would have been right.
Exactly. So tonight, 6:30 p.m., not 6, Kennesaw State at Sam Houston. And it's Sam Houston -6 when I did the graphic. It is now -4.5, Benjamin.
Oh, see that my prediction is going to flip pretty much.
Well, but we're staying with -6.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because that's what it was when I did it. It's only fair. We'll stay -6, but I'm saying in reality right now, it's even come down closer. A total of 163.5. Vegas says Sam Houston wins 85-71. 79. What say you, Benjamin?
Yeah, I think Sam Houston wins. I'm going to go 75-70 Sam Houston, so they don't cover the number, but they would have on the current line. And if this game was 2 weeks ago, I think I'm going over, but I think the Cats have started to find a defensive identity, and they have some sort of prop that I noticed on some of the players' Instagram story after the game. I can't remember what it is, but it has something to do with defense and locking up and stuff like that. It was some sort of tool. Might have been a wrench or something like that. But ever since, so they started conference play giving up 87 to New Mexico State, 102 to Western Kentucky. Since then, it's been 68, 60, 82 to Liberty, and then 62 to Jack State, 63 to FIU. I think they've started to come around defensively. This game will be played in the upper 60s, lower 70s. Give me Sam Houston 75-70. I think that's a big part of them starting to find their defensive identity.
So when I found this line on actionnetwork.com, it had their win totals over, against the spread and on the over-under. And yes, both teams, listen, I believe in conference play, scores get a little bit lower. A lot of times teams know you from previous seasons, things of that nature. ChatGPT does not think so. It says 86-79 Sam Houston. Ben says 75-70 Sam Houston. Ben is so close to right, but he's still wrong. I have Sam Houston 83-78. 5 points, but you didn't get the right score, Ben. I've got Sam Houston, or I've got KSU covering. And,
we agree there.
And under. We do agree on both, actually. I'm just 5 more points right than you are.
Right.
That's what that is. Because it's going to be 83-78, not 75-70, which sounds a whole lot more reasonable.
We'll see. I think it's going to be lower scoring, but
I think that
whatever results in a win, I'll take.
That are so good. Yeah, they're going to come out. The intensity is going to be high. It's hard to get into 80 points these days in college basketball.
Yeah, it especially in conference play when teams know your stuff and you play them so often.
So, of course, I have Sam Houston scoring 80. Duh.
If they score 80, I think I like our chances. I feel good.
I really do. I think I like the chances as long as they stay away from the gambling line. That put up some Abilene Christian folks, some other Southland schools. Like, dude, this hit a lot of different places that day.
Yeah, the Simmons kid from ACU was a pain in Sam Houston's side for 3 or 4 years while he was at ACU. Not that I wish somebody being indicted, but you kind of get a little bit of a chuckle out of it because he was such a pain in the butt for so many years.
Yeah, reading that indictment in his story, that was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't read his. I read the Cottle one for Kennesaw State.
His was they were playing Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I guess they were in a 2-a-day event in Stephenville. These happened a lot in March, which sound odd to me as well. But they were playing Texas A&M Corpus Christi. There was all this money put on it, but Simmons got hurt, and the other guy in it couldn't do it, and they ended up getting beat, right? So, well, they didn't cover. They didn't win the money for the guy that was convincing them to spend this money and paying them for doing this, right? So then they said, okay, next day they were playing Tarleton. He threw the damn game against Tarleton.
Yeah,
You don't throw a game against the school's rival, man, in Texas like that.
It's crazy.
Do you know how people feel about Tarleton and ACU? Oh.
And I'm sure it was pretty obvious looking back at it, too. I know the Kennesaw State one was very obvious. The first half spread of Kennesaw State plus 1.5, and you get outscored by 14, and Cottle picks up 3 fouls in like 5 minutes, and then they come back and outscore Queens by 5 in the second half after getting blown out in the first half.
I think this was even worse. Like, they just lost by over 30.
Oh.
Like, they just didn't put any care into it. So,
yeah,
that was rough, man. And I am very happy, very, very happy to see no Sam Houston people caught up in that.
Yes.
But I am going to be happy to watch the men's basketball team go beat them Owls tonight.
That's the plan. And the women beating the Panthers tomorrow.
That's right. The Lady Panthers tomorrow. That's a wrap for this episode of March to the Pod, presented by Eternal Roofing. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week with more Bearkat athletics coverage. Until then, Ben, take us home.
Eat 'em up, cats. Stay warm, and let's go get some victories.
Fry the owl.